Late fall in Seattle. Maple leaves fall on the damp streets, dyeing the walkway in front of Ryan and Mila's house red. Inside the cozy two-story queen and home, a soft yellow crystal chandelier glows. Soft jazz music plays from the ceiling speakers. The dining table is decorated with a smoky gray silk tablecloth, a delicate white vase of flowers, and a glass of delicate Bordeaux. Today is Ryan and Mila's 6th wedding anniversary. But it's not their party. Mila's mother-in-law, Carol, is the planner. She booked the party from a private chef and sent out invitations to her close friends in the architectural world, mostly Ryan's connections. Ryan's sister, Samantha, is the one who made the guest list and arranged the tables. Samantha's best friend, Chloe, also arrived early, wearing a tight crimson dress and sparkling Louboutin heels. Mila emerges from her bedroom, wearing an emerald satin dress, her hair tied loosely at the nape of her neck. She kept it simple, as always. And as always, Mrs. Carroll just glanced over without commenting. Ryan came down the stairs, elegant in a gray suit, smiling at Mila. "You look beautiful." "Thank you," Mila replied, but her eyes stopped on Samantha, who had just arrived with Chloe, both of them smiling brightly, as if this was their party. The guests gradually gathered. Cheers rang out. Glasses were clinked. Mila tried to smile, to make polite conversation. She was used to being a daughter-in-law in a family with high standards, but had never asked if she was okay. The dinner began. Mrs. Carroll raised her glass, her voice full of authority. "Today, our family celebrates Ryan and Mila's 6th wedding anniversary. It is also an opportunity to look back on the journey of a responsible man and a woman who knows how to accompany." Know how to accompany. Mila choked up when she heard it. She did not say her name. Not to mention the nights Mila stayed up all night watching Lily while Ryan was away on business. Not to mention the time Mila canceled a design contract just to take Samantha to the emergency room with food poisoning, although that was forgotten to this day. Samantha clinked glasses with Chloe, whispering, "She's a good actress. Anyone who saw her would think she was an angel." Chloe chuckled. Her eyes sparkled with an unfathomable satisfaction. After the meal, as everyone moved on to dessert, Mila went into the kitchen to get another plate. In the moment she stood alone by the kitchen window, looking out at the leafy backyard, Ryan walked in from behind. "Tired?" he asked. Mila shook her head, whispering, "I'm fine. It's just, I don't know if this is our anniversary." Ryan looked at her, hesitant. "What do you mean?" "Ryan, I feel more like an extension of your family's plans than your wife." He sighed. "You're being too considerate. I know Mom and Sam are still trying to get used to you. It takes time." Mila laughed. Not exactly angry, just sad. "It's been 6 years, Ryan." She turned away, picked up her plate, and returned to the table as if nothing had happened. Ryan stood there, silent. He wasn't a bad person, but he always chose silence. And that silence gradually made Mila feel alone, even in her own marriage. That night, when the party was over, Mila washed her face in the bathroom. Her eyes stopped at the mirror. She saw a gentle, educated woman who knew how to back off when needed, and also saw a gaze that was starting to feel tired. She muttered, "What did I do wrong?" Outside the living room, Chloe sat next to Samantha, holding a glass of wine, and said softly, "Mila doesn't fit in with your family. You know that, right?" Samantha didn't answer, but her lips curved slightly, as if in agreement. Seattle, a small bar on Capitol Hill, Yellow lights and soft music filled the after-party space. Chloe sat across from Samantha at a corner table, a glass of wine in hand, her red lipstick still perfect. No one spoke for the first few seconds. Only her eyes spoke for all the calculations brewing in their hearts. She still maintains a good image. Chloe took a sip. Makes everyone believe she is the ideal sister-in-law. Samantha did not answer. She looked out the window, the city lights reflecting on her glasses. Since childhood, Samantha had been used to being the one in the spotlight. After her brother, Ryan was a good, exemplary person. All expectations were on him. But to Samantha, Ryan was also the closest person. The one who used to bike her to school, once punched a boy in the face in 6th grade for daring to call her a bookworm. In Samantha's mind, the lover, and the one who married her brother, had to be someone she felt was worthy. Mila didn't. You think Ryan's happy? Chloe put her glass down on the table, leaning back. 6 years. No second child. Not much of a promotion. Do you think she's made him better? Samantha frowned. Chloe knew how to provoke. She didn't need to lie. Just hit Samantha where she was suspicious. I thought Mila was fine, Samantha said, her voice slow. But she always kept her distance. Always so calm, so reasonable. Like, she was never ours. She didn't need it. Chloe shrugged. Because Ryan chose her. And no one else mattered. Samantha clenched her hands into fists. That statement, it was a truth she didn't want to admit. Since Ryan got married, Samantha had never been the first person he called when something happened. No longer the one he asked for advice. She had thought Mila had taken her brother. Chloe was different. Chloe used to be part of the family. Once upon a time, when she was a teenager, Samantha had heard her mother whisper to Ryan, "If one day you marry Chloe, I will be very satisfied." Chloe was the daughter of Mrs. Carroll's best friend, studied law, spoke properly, came from a good family, never disobeyed her elders, and especially, always agreed with Samantha. What if she disappears? Chloe asked suddenly. Samantha looked up. What do you mean? I mean, if Mila does something to make Ryan lose trust, I don't need to push her away. I just need to create the right circumstances. The rest, he will back off. There was a tense silence. Samantha was not a bad person, but she was angry, and that anger, if not released, would become something Chloe could exploit. I don't want to destroy anything, Samantha said, her voice softer. Chloe chuckled. I know. Neither do I. She placed an envelope on the table. Inside is a photo of a text message from Mila's phone. I happened to see it when she pulled it out at the party. It's from a guy named Nathan, and the content is enough to make Ryan suspicious. Samantha took the envelope, hesitant. You don't have to do anything, Chloe whispered. Just keep it. Give it to Ryan whenever you feel like it, then do it. The rest, I'll take care of it. That night, when Samantha got home, she stood in front of the mirror for a long time. She looked at her face, sharp, strong, and asked herself, was I doing this for my family, or was it because I couldn't stand being put behind another woman? The answer didn't come. There was only a long silence in my heart, and a thin envelope lying quietly in my coat pocket. It was a gloomy, drizzly Monday morning in Seattle. Mila woke up at 5:30. Before the alarm clock rang, she lay still, staring at the ceiling, then slowly turned over, her eyes stopping at Ryan, sleeping soundly, his face tilted towards her but his hand placed far away. The distance only a few inches. But to Mila, it was an ocean of silence. She tiptoed out of bed, put on a thin sweater, and walked down to the kitchen. The kitchen was neat and clean, like her, but there was nothing familiar. She opened a drawer, took out a cup, and made herself a cup of white tea. Outside the window, a light rain fell on the remaining red maple leaves. She remembered the party 3 days ago. The looks, the laughter, the empty congratulations. And Samantha's words, seemingly unintentional. I think sometimes women should know their limits, especially when they come into a family like this one. Those words, a velvet-covered needle. It didn't make Mila bleed, but it made her feel like she didn't belong. 7:10, Ryan walked down the stairs. Gray tie, thin striped shirt. He looked at Mila, nodded good morning, then leaned down to kiss her cheek, perfunctorily. Mila smiled slightly, asking, "Are you coming home early tonight?" Ryan hesitated. "I have a date with Sam and Chloe. Talk about our investment plans, but I'll be back before 9. Chloe. That name had been popping up more often than Lily's lately. Lily, their 5-year-old daughter, came down the stairs with a stuffed rabbit in her arms. "Mommy, I had a dream that our house fell into the sky like an up." Mila laughed, hugging her daughter. "If the house flies, then you and I will fly together. Just don't fall alone." Lily chuckled. Ryan looked at the mother and daughter, his eyes softening slightly. But he still turned away quickly. He didn't know that the gentleness with Mila was now only temporary. 10 a.m. Mila had an online meeting with a new client, an interior design project for a penthouse in Tacoma. She worked focused, calmly. "Take neat notes. Not at the right time. Answer softly." Turning off Zoom, she took off her headphones and leaned back in her chair. The room was dead silent. So quiet that she could hear her own sigh. At noon, Mila returned to her parents' house, after many months of not returning. A small house in Bellevue, hidden behind a row of maple trees. Her mother, Sarah, opened the door, surprised and happy. "It's been a long time. Where are Ryan and Lily?" "I'm going alone, Mom." They sat drinking tea and eating cinnamon cookies. Mila told a few trivial things. Her mother listened attentively, as if each sentence was worth remembering. When she asked, "Are you okay?" Mila smiled, a tired but polite smile. "I'm fine." On the way home, she stopped by her favorite used bookstore. She picked up a book titled, "How to Stay Alone When You're Not the Center of Anyone's Heart." It wasn't self-help. It was a collection of essays. But it made her stand still on the shelf for a long time. That night, Ryan came home at 9:30. Mila didn't ask why he was late. She was reading. Lily was asleep. Ryan walked in, kissed her forehead, and went into the bathroom. She didn't turn her head. She wasn't angry either. "It's just, I'm no longer used to waiting." Before going to sleep, Mila wrote in her diary, which she no longer writes regularly, but still keeps. "Today, I feel like a beautiful living room. Bright enough, clean enough, polite enough, but no one really lives in it. I don't blame you. It's just, if one day I leave, don't be surprised. I've already started leaving in my heart, little by little." 2003, Seattle. The Eastons and the Trans dined at a fancy French restaurant. Ryan was 14, having just received a statewide math award. Chloe was 12, wearing a white dress and sitting next to Ryan. They grew up together. They're like blood. Well, who knows? Maybe they'll get married in the future? That was the conversation between Carol and Chloe's mother, Evelyn Tran, as they sipped their wine and laughed contentedly. Ryan said nothing. He lowered his head, absorbed in his foie gras, which he had no idea why was so expensive. Chloe smiled softly, having learned to hold Ryan's hand in public. Years later, when Ryan was in college at UC Berkeley, Chloe still sent him emails, birthday cards, books, and even handmade gifts. Ryan didn't say no. He was polite, but never took the initiative. He never said, "I like you," but he also never said, "I don't like you." Because Ryan was taught from a young age that silence was the safest way to avoid upsetting anyone. At 25, Ryan dated seriously for the first time, with Mila. He didn't tell his mother. He didn't tell Chloe either, until Mila was 4 months old, when Samantha happened to see a photo of the two of them on Instagram and got angry. "You're sneaking around the whole family to date someone like her?" Ryan didn't know how to respond. He was used to other people choosing for him. The only time Chloe spoke up was at Samantha's birthday party. She sat next to Ryan, smiling, as calmly as ever, but her words were as cold as ice. "You promised my mother that if you didn't marry me, at least you wouldn't let me be humiliated. And now you've chosen a woman no one in the family supports to be your wife." Ryan turned around, his face serious. "I never promised to marry you. We were never a couple." Chloe was silent. It was a silence very similar to the one Ryan had used when he was a child, but this time, it scared her. Mrs. Carroll did not let go easily. A month after Ryan and Mila's wedding, she called Chloe over for dinner. Mila was not invited. "You've always been my chosen daughter-in-law. Don't give up." Even though Ryan is blinded by his emotions now, he'll realize it sooner or later. Chloe just smiled, but her eyes at that moment were no longer the eyes of an old friend. They were the eyes of someone who was not used to failure. Now, Chloe sat in her law office in downtown Seattle. In front of her were a set of commercial contracts. Next to her was a photo taken with Samantha 2 years ago. "I don't need to love Ryan. I just need to beat Mila," she thought. Because to Chloe, Mila is living proof of another life. A girl with no background, not accepted by Ryan's mother, no power relationships. But she occupies the position that Chloe was always destined to. She opens her laptop, types a few lines. "Samantha, there's something I need to talk to you about. Can we meet tomorrow night?" Saturday. Seattle has a little sunshine, a rare treat after weeks of gray rain. Mila and Lily go to the familiar bakery in Finney Ridge, pick up a favorite lemon mousse, and then stop by a nearby park. They spread out a small rug, sit down to eat cake, and draw some funny pictures. She laughs a lot. Lily does too. Neither of them knows that, at the same time, a sneaky photo has been sent. That evening at Carol's house, Mila's mother-in-law. The family dinner once a month. Samantha is helping her mother set the table. Chloe is also there, sitting and chatting with Ryan in the living room. Mila is late because Lily fell asleep in the car. When she enters, the atmosphere suddenly strange. Mrs. Carroll's gaze pauses somewhat when she sees Mila. Chloe's lips curl slightly. Samantha suddenly becomes silent, not smiling like usual. During the meal, Mrs. Carroll suddenly speaks up. "Mila, where did you go with Lily today?" "Yes, I took her to the bakery and the park near Green Lake. We wanted to enjoy some sunshine." "Just the two of us?" Mila paused. Everyone's eyes were on her, not with concern, but with checking. "Yes, just the two of us." Chloe opened her phone, turned the screen around for Samantha to see. Samantha nodded slightly, then said, "My friend came to Green Lake today too. Send me a picture. It's surprising. Because it's not just Mila and Lily. Mila froze. Samantha opened her phone, handed it to Ryan. He looked at it. His face changed. It was unclear whether it was confusion or anger. The picture showed Mila sitting on the grass, with a man next to her, handing Lily a toy. She was smiling, holding a cup of coffee. A normal moment, but with this angle, it was easy to misunderstand. "That's Nathan," Mila said calmly. "He's my old classmate. We met by chance, and he stayed for about 10 minutes because Lily recognized him." Samantha raised her eyebrows. By chance or by appointment? Mrs. Carroll said coldly, "Mila, you are Ryan's wife. You should know that every action can be judged." Mila turned to Ryan. "What do you think?" Ryan looked at her. Silence. "Ryan, don't you believe me?" He was confused. Finally said, "It's just, if it was really by chance, then you should tell me instead of letting others see it first." A light sentence, but like a knife tearing apart trust. Mila stood up, picked up her bag. "Lily and I will go first." No one stopped her. On the way back, Lily slept. Mila drove in silence. Not a single tear on her face, but her heart was in turmoil. She didn't blame Samantha. She wasn't surprised by Chloe, but she didn't expect Ryan to be silent. Not a word of defense. Not a look of trust. Not a single, "I know you're not like that." Back home, Mila took Lily to the bedroom, then sat on the stairs. Silence in the dark. That night, Ryan didn't text, didn't call, didn't come home. And for the first time in 6 years of marriage, Mila thought, if I wasn't here, would anyone really call it a loss? Monday, 8 p.m. Samantha sat in her downtown Seattle high-rise apartment, the streetlights streaming through the windows, reflecting off the glass of white wine she held. She had just finished a tense meeting with the investment team, a contract 3 days late, a client changing the terms. But Samantha didn't care. Her mind was stuck on a photo, the one she'd given to her brother. Is this too much? The question popped into her head, vague, light. And for once, she didn't push it away. She opened her laptop. The screen showed a packed schedule for the week. Reports for approval. Projects in progress. Everything was neat, perfect, just like her. But underneath, something was uncertain. Samantha played back the recording Chloe had sent. It was a conversation a month ago. In a coffee shop, Chloe had said, "Mila is not wrong. But to wake Ryan up, he needs to see that she is replaceable." At that time, Samantha nodded. Not against. Not in agreement. Just reasonable. But now, that sentence rang out differently. Mila is not wrong. Chloe had admitted it, but still did it. And Samantha, did she really believe that Mila was wrong? Or was she just jealous of that woman's too stable presence? The next morning, Samantha came to the company earlier than usual. She opened her email, but didn't read it. Instead, she opened Facebook, Mila's personal page. An old photo appeared. Mila and Lily were making cakes, both with flour on their noses. A simple caption, "The cake may not be delicious, but the person eating it is always the person I love the most." Samantha looked at that photo for a long time. 11 a.m. Her phone rang. It was Ryan. She picked up. "I'm sorry," Ryan said, his voice weary. "I reacted badly. Are you sure that picture was from yesterday?" Samantha was silent. A beat. 2 beats. "I don't know," she said. "I don't know? I sent it to you." Samantha let out a soft breath. "Chloe sent it to me. I just didn't want you to be fooled. But now I'm not sure. Maybe I was too hot." For the first time in her life, Samantha admitted something resembling guilty. Not completely, but it was the first crack in the wall of righteousness she had built up since she was a child. That night, Samantha sat alone, the lights off. She remembered Mila, the look in her eyes that day. Not spiteful, not accusatory. Just sad. So sad that Samantha couldn't breathe. She picked up the phone. Compose a message. Mila, I'm not sure I'm right. If possible, I'd like to talk to you. Once, without anyone in between. But she doesn't send it. She turns off the screen. Just leaves the message there, like a knife that hasn't been pulled out. Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. The Lumen on Capitol Hill. Samantha walked in, her long caramel coat draped over her shoulders. She looked around, catching Chloe's eye at her usual corner table. Chloe waved, her Negroni in her other hand. It looked like a meeting between two old friends. But the air was colder than the ice in the glass. Thanks for coming, Chloe said, smiling politely. I know you're nervous. Samantha sat down, blunt. Chloe, that picture, where did you get it? I told you, my friend sent it to me. Seeing Mila in the park and seeing that wasn't normal. Are you lying? Chloe paused. Her expression changed. Subtle. But enough for someone as perceptive as Samantha to notice. Sam, Chloe tilted her head, her voice dropping. We both know Ryan deserves better than Mila. Not because Mila is bad, but because she doesn't belong. Samantha frowned. Belongs to who? Belongs to us. To the family that Ryan needs to thrive. Samantha took a sip of her wine. It was bitterer than usual. Suddenly she felt funny. Chloe had sounded like her mother. That not belonging phrase, no different from the insider-outsider classification label her mother always applied to anyone who wasn't like her. Did you know Ryan loves Mila? Samantha asked, looking straight at her. Love is temporary. Chloe shrugged. Married life is more than that. Do you really want to marry Ryan knowing he doesn't love you? Chloe smiled, a real smile this time. But not pretty. Not pleasant. I didn't marry to be loved. I married to be stable. And if Ryan comes back, it will be because Mila isn't strong enough to keep him, not because I stole him. Samantha felt a chill run down her spine. Part of her reason was screaming, Chloe's right about strategy. But another part was crumbling. Because she suddenly realized Chloe had never really been on her side. Why did you send me the pictures? Why didn't you send them to Ryan yourself? Samantha asked. Chloe blinked. Because if I did, Ryan would suspect my motives. But if it was his sister, he couldn't ignore it. You've always been the strongest link between the two of you. That sentence made Samantha choke up. She understood. Chloe didn't need an ally. She just needed someone who trusted her enough to do the dirty work for her. Chloe, you don't need to come here anymore, Samantha said evenly. Chloe raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? From now on, don't drag me into your business. I don't know if Mila is right or wrong, but you're definitely not someone I can trust anymore. Chloe sneered. Sam, don't forget what you did. You gave the photo to Ryan. You sowed doubt. You were the first person to not trust Mila. I didn't force you. Samantha didn't reply, because Chloe was right. She couldn't deny it. But deep down, for the first time in years, she knew she needed to stop. That night, when she got home, Samantha opened the bookcase and pulled out an old box. Inside were old photos of Ryan and her when they were kids. Innocent memories. When Ryan taught her to fold paper airplanes, when he took her to her first concert, when he skipped school to protect her from a wrongful punishment at school. I thought I was protecting you by keeping you from the wrong person. But if that person is Mila, and I was wrong, then maybe I'm destroying the thing you need most. She whispered. Saturday morning, 9:12 a.m. Mila was cleaning out the bookshelves in her office, something she did every weekend as a way to keep her head clear amid the chaos of emotions. She sorted the books by cover color, blue, yellow, red, light gray, then opened the small bottom drawer to get her work notebook. But what appeared before her eyes was not her usual notebook. It was a pale purple diary, something she had hidden away, unopened for months. Mila took it out. Her hand paused. The last page had been torn. Not torn to pieces, but torn cleanly. Decisively, as if someone had tried to get the contents and not wanted to be discovered. She flipped through the pages. The handwriting was still neat, with a few underlined passages. I wonder what Ryan sees in my eyes. Sometimes, I feel like I'm in a marriage where words are redundant. What's wrong with expecting my husband to stand by me, just once? It was the day Samantha sent her the false photos. The back page, where she'd written the longest paragraph, was missing. Mila clenched her fists. Not out of fear, but because for the first time, she felt someone was invading her private space, not accidentally, but on purpose. She checked the drawer again. The lock was the same, but there was a small scratch on the hinge, so fine that only a careful observer would notice it. 10:15 a.m. Lily ran into the room, holding her orange teddy bear. Mommy. Miss Chloe told me not to scribble in my notebook with lots of words. She said it was an adult secret. Mila spun around. What? That day, Sam let me play in Mom's office. I scribbled on the cover of the notebook, and Chloe snatched it away. She read a few lines in it, and tore a page. I remember it clearly. Mila was stunned. Her heart was pounding, not because of fear, but because a series of events suddenly connected clearly. Chloe appeared unexpectedly. The coincidental photo at the park. Ryan avoided it. And now she was the one who had secretly read and torn Mila's diary. Chloe is playing dirty. Those words appeared in Mila's mind for the first time, no longer vague. She picked up Lily and asked gently, Do you remember what day it was? Yes, it was the day Sam took the car to take me to play with Chloe at our house. Dad was in a meeting. Mila put her child down, then took out her phone. Opened the calendar. It was exactly 3 days before the family meal when the park photo had come out. She closed her eyes. She took a breath. It wasn't an accident. This was the plan. She called Ryan. He didn't answer. She left a message. I know who tore up my diary and who tried to set it all up. When you're ready to listen, I'll still be here. But I won't be silent any longer, Ryan. That evening, Mila took back the lock on the drawer. She changed the code. She taped a note to the drawer. Kindness doesn't include tolerance. Saturday, 11:30 p.m. Ryan sat alone in his car, parked in the basement of his office building. He had just finished an urgent meeting. His Japanese partner had suddenly changed the deal. He should go home. But the text from Mila was still on his phone. Just 3 lines. But it was enough to make his heart sink. I know who tore my diary. When you're ready to listen, I'll still be here. But I won't be silent anymore, Ryan. Diary? Torn? He had never known Mila to keep a diary. He had never thought that someone could rummage through her private things. In his mind, Mila had always been a strong person, in control of her emotions, strong enough to handle anything. But because he thought that way, he had unintentionally assumed that she could endure everything. He opened the photo Samantha had sent him. A photo of Mila sitting next to Nathan. A smile. A look. He had been suspicious. But looking back now, he saw that Mila was upset. Not because of Nathan. Because she was trying to keep a straight face. Lily said Chloe read the diary. Ryan recalled the text Mila had sent him later, after he hadn't responded. You said Chloe tore the last page. Why would she read it if she didn't intend to use the information? His heart pounded. Chloe, the family friend, the gentle one. He remembered the meeting 3 weeks ago. Chloe had come to his office, handing him some new investment deals his mother wanted him to review. You need to focus on your career, Chloe had said, her voice low. Mila doesn't seem as supportive as she used to be. He scrolled through his text history with Chloe. And then, suddenly, a small detail appeared. The day before the photo was sent to Samantha, Chloe had texted, Sam will send you something a little sensitive soon. Don't be too shocked. We're just worried about you. Ryan leaned back in his chair. A chill ran down his spine. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a plan. And he, like an idiot, had fallen into it. He called Samantha. For the first time in weeks, the call lasted 45 minutes. Samantha was silent as he told her what Mila had said. But finally, she confessed, the photo is from Chloe. I don't know the truth. I was wrong because I didn't check. I trusted the wrong person. The next morning, Ryan woke up early. He stood in front of Mila's room. The door was closed. He knocked gently. There was no answer. He tried the knob. The door was unlocked. Inside, Mila was folding Lily's clothes. The sunlight filtered through the curtains, making her hair shine. She didn't turn around, just said, I thought you didn't come back last night. Ryan paused. His voice dropped. Mila, do you still have the diary? Mila was silent. I want to read it. Not to control, but to understand. She turned around. For the first time in months, Mila's eyes changed. Not cold. Not angry. Just surprised. She placed her hand on the light purple notebook, silently handing it to him. That night, Ryan read each line in the notebook. Some pages were blurred with tears. Some pages had only one sentence. If one day I disappear, will anyone recognize me? He burst into tears, silently. Just like the way he had been indifferent to her pain. Sunday, 9:07 a.m. Their kitchen was the same as usual. Coffee steaming, the dishwasher humming, and Lily sitting at the dining table coloring. Mila was wearing a cream turtleneck, her hair tied back, her face lightly made up as usual. Looking at her, no one would have thought that just a few days ago. She was the woman who had almost collapsed because her husband's family suspected and isolated her. Ryan walked down, holding the purple diary. He placed it gently on the table, between them. Mila, his voice began, but she raised her hand. Today, I will speak. You don't need to answer. Just listen. After that, if you still think I'm wrong, I will leave. I won't bother anyone anymore. Ryan sat down, nodded. The whole space seemed to freeze. Mila looked at him. Her eyes were no longer filled with tears, just clear and tired. A kind of tiredness that had been suppressed for a long time. You know, I don't write a diary because I'm weak. I just have no one else to confide in. You're my husband. But for so long, I've never been myself in front of you. Ryan bowed his head. When I was sad, you said, don't mind me. When your mother criticized me, you said, that's just how she is. When Sam doubted me, you were silent. When Chloe read my diary, you were still silent. She paused, her voice low but clear. You didn't hit me. You didn't betray me. But you let others hurt me. And you didn't stop them. That's a form of betrayal, Ryan. Ryan clenched his fists. His heart clenched. But he didn't interrupt. Because he knew she needed to say it. I don't hate your mother. I don't hate Sam. I'm not jealous of Chloe. I just feel sorry for myself, for believing that if I tried, I would be accepted. But I forgot. No one takes someone they've never opened up to. She paused, her eyes glistening, but she didn't cry. You never protected me. You just dealt with it. Like dealing with an unpleasant situation, not grieving with me. Lily ran over from the coloring table, shoving Mila's hand in hers. Mommy, I'm done. Mila leaned down, kissed her forehead. You did great. Let me see later. I'll talk to Daddy now. As Lily left, Mila turned back. I don't want a divorce. But I can't live like this, in a house where I have to wear armor every day. If you want to continue, then from now on, I need you to stand by me. Not behind me. No more, I don't know. No more, I'm not sure. Either you choose me, or you choose safety. Ryan blurted out, his voice shaking. You were wrong. Mila looked at him, her eyes softened, but still wary. I know, but an apology is only worth something if it leads to action. If it's just to make you feel better, then keep it to yourself. He stood up, walked toward her, didn't hug, just sat down next to her, instead of across from her, and whispered, I won't leave you alone anymore. But I need to learn not to hurt you by stepping out of the shadow of my family. She looked at him. For the first time, her gaze wasn't cold. Just waiting. Monday, 6:45 a.m. Samantha sat in her car, parked in front of the law office where Chloe worked. In her hand was a sealed, cream-colored envelope that simply read, To Chloe, from Samantha. She had written it at 4 a.m. Not in anger, but after a night of thinking about all the things she had done, failed to do, and allowed to happen. I thought I did it for Ryan. But the truth is, I did it because my ego was hurt when he chose someone who wasn't like me. Excerpt. She walked into the building, handed the letter to the receptionist, and left. No response. No further messages. At the same time, in Chloe's office, Chloe walked in, looking her usual self. White coat, hair pulled back, red lips, as if she had never tired of it. The letter was on her desk. She opened it. The first line made her smile fade. I'm sorry you used me as a tool. I know you don't love Ryan. I know you don't need Ryan. You need to win Mila. But Ryan is not a prize. Mila is not a shadow. And I, Samantha, will not be a witness to another cruel game. Chloe exhaled. She crumpled the letter. But her eyes no longer had the confidence they once had. They began to tremble. 10 a.m. Ryan came to Chloe's office. I didn't come here to hear an explanation, Ryan said bluntly. I just want you to know. I know about the diary. And Mila doesn't have to defend herself anymore. Because from now on, the one standing next to her is me. Chloe was silent. She didn't cry. But her face, it seemed to collapse in silence. I did everything because I thought I deserved it. I've always been the chosen one. But this time I lost. Because I chose the wrong way. Ryan left. Without looking back. Chloe sat alone in the office. The room was large, luxurious, but suffocatingly cold. That afternoon, Samantha came to Mila's house, unannounced, with nothing but the truth. "You don't need forgiveness. But I want to say I'm sorry for leaving you alone." Mila looked at her for a long time. Then she said, "Your silence hurts me more than criticism. But if you come here today with your truth, then I accept it." The two women, who had been enemies, sat together. Between them was a child named Lily, running around and giggling. Chloe didn't go to anyone's house that day. She sat alone in the office until 9 p.m. Samantha's letter, crumpled. She took it out, ironed it, and put it in a drawer. Not to forgive, but to remind myself, being smart doesn't mean being right. And winning doesn't come from stepping on other people's beliefs. A month later, Seattle in spring. The new leaves were beginning to green up the streets that had been stripped of their color by the constant rain. Mila stood by the window, a warm cup of tea in her hand, watching Lily run through the yard on the little pink bike that Ryan had just rebuilt. They weren't the same, but they weren't strangers either. Ryan moved out of his parents' house. For the first time in nearly 40 years, he was living like a grown man, making his own decisions without asking his mother. He started therapy regularly, once a week. "I'm not good at talking, Mila, but I'm learning. If you're patient, well, I won't give up." Mila just nodded. No promises, but no refusals. Samantha moved back to work for a nonprofit in Bellevue. She no longer worked for her father, and she stopped attending family Sunday dinners. She and Mila were still not close, but they greeted each other with knowing, peaceful eyes. Chloe did not appear again. She quit her job. No one knew why. People said she went to New York, to a bigger law firm. And Samantha, one day she accidentally opened her mailbox, found a postcard. A single line, "I may have gone the wrong way, but at least I stopped." And signed. No one had to guess who it was from. And Mila. She still kept a diary. But now she did not lock her desk. Not because she did not need privacy, but because she was no longer afraid of being misunderstood. She also started teaching weekend art classes to children in the neighborhood. Lily always sat in the front row and proudly told her friends, "My teacher is my mom." Once, Ryan passed by the class and saw Mila bend down to adjust the hand position of a child who was shaking with a paintbrush. He paused for a long time and thought to herself, "I was with someone wonderful and didn't know how to keep it. Now I'm learning all over again." It's late, but it's true. Mila wrote in her diary, "Marriage doesn't die of betrayal. It dies of silence, because no one says what they need, and the other person keeps guessing wrong." Ryan hadn't proposed again. She hadn't agreed to let him come home either. But every night, he picked Lily up from art class. Then he sat down with Mila to eat a meal. No obligation, no role-playing. Just 3 people. 1 table. 1 day of living true to their hearts. No one promised anything for the future. They just promised today they would be true to each other. And tomorrow, if they were still at the same table, they would continue. Monday, 5:45 p.m. Seattle is overcast, with a chilly wind. Ryan stands in front of his house. The keys in his hand are cold. His hands are shaking slightly. Not because of the weather, but because of the nameless fear that has been growing inside him for the past 2 days. Yesterday afternoon, Samantha sent him a screenshot of a text message. No explanation. Just a single line. "It seems she's not just good at drawing." The message in the photo was from an unsaved number, and the content was simple. Thanks for last night. Your energy, still amazing like old days, winky face, sent at 2:12 a.m. Ryan stared at the text for 20 minutes. Hundreds of questions, thousands of possibilities, but no clear truth. He didn't ask Mila. No conversation. Just silence, and started looking at her differently. That evening, Mila was folding Lily's clothes when Ryan came home. He stood in the doorway, looking at her. "You're still awake," he said, lightly. "Yeah, still busy," Mila replied, not turning around. He moved closer. He didn't sit down like he usually did. Just stood, like an outsider. "You've been out at night lately." Mila looked up. "Just the other day. I brought some paintings to a group show. You were asleep, so I didn't call." Ryan nodded. Nothing more. Mila looked at him more closely. She saw that look that was searching, that held something. "What's wrong?" Ryan pursed his lips, as if to say something, but then shook his head. "No. Just asking." The air was heavy. She knew. He knew. But no one touched the truth directly. "Ryan," Mila put down her clothes, "if you have any questions, you can ask them directly." He was silent, looking away. "I don't think you'll cheat. But there are some things that confuse me." Mila chuckled, not because it was funny, but because the answer was so familiar. "I don't think, but I suspect." "So tell me straight, who told you?" Ryan avoided her gaze. "It doesn't matter." That was the end point. Mila didn't ask any more. And Ryan didn't dare to dig deeper. Not because he believed her, but because he was afraid that if he asked, things would never go back. Midnight. Mila left the living room. Ryan was asleep on the couch. His phone was open beside him. The screenshot of the text message was still there. Mila looked. Didn't say anything. Just gently covered him with a blanket, then turned back into the room. In her diary that night, she wrote, "Silence sometimes hurts more than accusation. Because it says, I don't need to know the truth. I chose to believe what I wanted." Friday, 6:20 p.m. Mila folded a few clothes, wrapped some drawings, and packed them into a suitcase. She didn't rush. She didn't sulk. Everything was prepared with a silence that could only come after a lot of pain had been held back. Lily was staying at a friend's house overnight. The house was quiet with children. Ryan had just come in, taken off his shoes, and stopped when he saw Mila putting on her coat. "Where are you going?" She didn't turn around. "Home." "Which house?" Ryan asked, his voice breaking a little. "My house." Ryan felt a chill in his heart. He had never heard Mila call anywhere my house, except the apartment they lived in. How long? Not sure. Because of the other day? Mila turned to look straight at him. No. Because of everything. She dragged her suitcase past him, stopping at the door. He stood in her way. Not aggressively, but confused. "Mila, if you leave, What will you do?" Mila interrupted, her eyes soft but determined. Silence again? Ryan couldn't answer. And this time, Mila didn't wait for him. She walked out of the house, as if out of a long dream. Round pushpin 10:37 p.m., Palo Alto, California. The car carrying Mila stopped in front of a modern villa, black tiled roof. Warm yellow light radiating from the front porch. No nameplate. No ostentation. A tall, silver-haired woman opened the door. Mrs. Helen, Mila's mother. "I'm home," she said, as if not surprised. "I'm tired," Mila replied, and was hugged tightly by her mother. Ryan called. Mila didn't pick up. He texted. No one answered. The next night, He tried to contact Mila's parents through an old friend. "I thought you two were close," the friend said. "Mila didn't tell you about her home in California?" Ryan was stunned. "California? Oh, the mansion in Palo Alto. Mila's family owns 3 satellite companies, a chain of restaurants, real estate. She lives simply, but not in need." Ryan hung up the phone. He remembered the times Mila didn't want to go back to his hometown for Tet, the times she kept quiet when his mother criticized her for coming from a poor family, so she's a bit reserved. And now, everything was clear. It wasn't that she was poor. It was that she chose not to react. Because if she did, she would lose whatever peace she had left. Ryan flew to California the next morning. He stood in front of the house, the doorknob shaking. A man opened the door, Mr. Thomas, Mila's father. No anger, no warmth, just a cold look. "You're Ryan?" Ryan nodded. "I thought Mila married someone smart enough to know what was valuable. I came to ask to see her. My daughter is learning to trust people again. If you came today to get her back with a few apologies, then go back." Ryan stood still. For the first time in his life, he understood what it felt like to have no power in a relationship. Sunday, 3:10 p.m. Cafe Capstone, the familiar street corner where Chloe often goes to read. This time, Chloe did not bring any books. She wore a white silk shirt and a long skirt, looking exactly like a good girl that adults always loved. And in front of her was Mrs. Carroll, Ryan's mother. 2 women. One was once a silent ally. The other was struggling to keep what she thought was a peaceful family. "Do you still drink cappuccino with less milk?" Mrs. Carroll asked. Late fall in Seattle. Maple leaves fall on the damp streets, dyeing the walkway in front of Ryan and Mila's house.